What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be going over talking about King of the Court once again in NBA 2K26 MyTeam, because why not? It's a popular topic. It's something that I think is important to talk about to hopefully better things in the future. Now, here's kind of where we're at. Here's what we know after 4 weeks of King of the Courts. We know that there's still a lot of unknowns. Now, within that, I do think the unknowns is a problem, and I'll touch on that in a second. But bigger than that, I think a lot of people, even the comp community guys, would love more of a tournament type style. Now, with this, I'm going to be going over the pros, the cons, everything there is to know about King of the Court. But again, I just want you guys to hear what I have to say, and then again, leave your feedback, your comments down below. Now, I think number one, week 3 of King of the Court obviously got out of hand, got crazy with all of the drama that was associated with it. Now, here's kind of the thing that I've realized as I've been playing King of the Court for 4 weeks so far. It's a complicated formula that 2K uses to figure out event points or scoring. And I think that has led to a lot of people just thinking, oh, well, the top players all just boost their way to the top, which I think, honestly, is a common conception. And honestly, I get why people think that. I obviously thought that early on in the game. And I'm not saying that boosting doesn't happen at all, but I do think it's just kind of a misconception, because if you look at some of my top scores, and I've got a lot of my top scores, I went and mapped it out last night. A lot of my top scores, a lot of my best scores came from like 40-ish to 50-ish point wins. Like, a lot of my top scores came from those type of games. Heck, even one of my top scores from week 3 came from a 29-point win versus Authentic. So, again, yeah, this boosting, happen. Sure, I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't. But again, people don't get top scores just from boosting. So, for example, Jin, he didn't get to 13,000 points by boosting alone. And if he would have, 2K would have banned him, right? They made that obvious because in week 3, Beefy got banned. Obviously, there were other people that got banned. And so that's something I want you guys to know and realize. Obviously, again, with the way the system is set up, you need to win by a lot of points. I'm not going to sit here and act like that you don't, but you need multiple wins by a lot of points to really boost yourself up versus decent teams. Because again, I've had some wins by like 100 in which I don't get any points. So again, the formula is pretty complicated that 2K uses. I don't have the necessary knowledge and to figure all that out. But I do want you guys to kind of know and realize how King of the Court really, truly does work. And again, it's not just a simple solution. Now, moving forward, you kind of know what is needed to win in King of the Court. Like, week 1, obviously, nobody really knew what was going on. Splash won with 13,600 points. Week 2, I won with 13,800 points, 855 points. Week 4, Jin won with like 13,800. I think week 3, Jin won with like 13,760, somewhere in there. So like the how many points you need is basically out there, right? It's a known factor at this stage how many points you do ultimately need to win. It's just tough to know how to get there. Now, with all of that being said, I still think there needs to be some sort of thing at the end where if there's like a competitive side of this. So for example, week 2, Jin beat me in the very last game. He, in my opinion, didn't deserve to win King of the Court because of that. I don't know. You guys could maybe make the argument for that. Obviously, at that point, I was super tired. I'd been searching all day, those types of things. Week 4, when Jin won, I beat him 2 out of the last 3 games. One of them was with the 5-man with some sapphires in there. So like, again, if you're going to make the point that Jin should have won in week 2, then I would have had to win in week 4. But again, none of those things matter. Because if competitive players play competitive players, there's going to be a net 0. You don't get any points from playing close games versus competitive people. Now, again, if you can find a way to beat a competitive guy by like 30, then you got some room for growth. But that is so hard to do on this game. And so it just leaves me in this spot where it's like, I don't really know how to approach King of the Court in the future. Like, people say, oh, Ty, you have an advantage if you stream. I don't think that's even true. I just genuinely don't, because when I stream, I feel like I don't get any games. And I mean, you guys can go back and watch my streams back. I watched them back from the last 3 weeks. Early on, I got so many people that quit, and I know a lot of people have the same issue, but people just quit. That is a big problem in King of the Court. I was looking last week, one of my top early scores was a 40-point win in which my opponent quit at halftime. If that opponent stays for the entire game last week, I bet I win King of the Court last week. I bet I do. Now again, there's so many different variables after that can happen, but if he would have stayed the entire game and I win by like 70 or 80 or whatever I would have ended up winning by, again, I was up like 40 some at half, then I win King of the Court. But he quits at halftime. And so, again, to me, it bugs me when people are like, oh, Ty, you won by 80 or 90. That's an obviously person that's boosting. I literally was up like 45, 47 at halftime, and the opponent quit. If you think that opponent was trying to boost me, wouldn't you think he would have stayed the whole game? I'm just asking you guys out there because, again, I read a lot of my comments that are like, oh, Ty, you just do it. You just win because you're boosting. Here's what I'll say. Jin has won the last 2 weeks. He's one of the best 3 or 4 players in the game for sure. I'm not gonna say best 1 or 2 because again, I don't want people getting mad at me. Okay, best 3 or 4 players in the game for sure. Splash, one of the best 3 or 4 players in the game. He won week 1. I would say I'm one of the best 3 or 4 players. I won week 2, and I got second last week and second the week before. So, is the system bad? That's a complex answer because I do think the system relies a lot on luck, a lot on matchups, a lot on just knowing what the system is, but it's not a system that is a fun system. It's not a system that you're going to see a lot of competitive games early on. Now, come Sunday, sure, you're going to see some competitive games if people decide to stream. Even for myself, I didn't stream the last day because heading into the last day, I was above Jin. I wanted to be able to match Jin 3 times and hopefully knock him out before he was able to find that ultimate game and outdo me. He did. Credit to Jin. He found the game. That wasn't me. He scored a bunch of points. He did what he needed to do, right? But the problem with the whole system right now is it's just unknown. There is no known factors. Even if you look on the King of the Court official website, and I've looked this up, right? Because I wanted to know some things specifically within this, right? Even within the King of the Court system, all this says is this, right? As far as like how to get points in King of the Court. Here's what it says as far as how the game scores are calculated, basically, right? It's based on a combination of factors, including the quality of their roster, the quality it says including the quality of my roster, the quality of the opponent's roster, and the quality of their performance in the qualifying game. Which again, that doesn't really say a whole ton about it, but that's really what we know. So again, I don't really know. I do think if you play an opponent with a really good team, that can boost your score up. But again, there's just so many unknowns with this. I mean, genuinely. And for the last 3 weekends, I've literally I'm trying to think of the amount of time that I've spent, probably like 35 to 40 hours playing over the course of like the weekends, which seems crazy. But again, when $10,000 is on the line, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But there's just so many variables that go into King of the Court. It is so matchup dependent. It is so, making sure your opponent doesn't quit. And again, you don't have control over that. Your opponent has control over that. So that's why I don't love King of the Court. That's why the format to me stinks. But again, I will say this. From 2K's perspective, you've had 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks that have went by. And a top 5 player on the game has won each and every one of those 4 weeks. So I see a lot of people commenting on Twitter, well, unless you're Jin, unless you're a top streamer, you can't win King of the Court. Well, Jin doesn't even stream. He is really good at the game, but Jin doesn't even stream. Guess what? He's won 2 weeks. So that whole debate, throw it out the window. That's just not even true. What you do need to win King of the Court is you need good matchups, right? You need matchups. You need guys that do not quit early on. And outside of that, guys, you need, you need to play the game a lot. Because if you don't play the game a lot on a weekend, and I'm not saying a ton, but if you're going to play the game for 2 hours during the weekend, you're not giving yourself a chance to win. If you play the game a decent amount and get the right matchups, maybe you could win. But again, it's just so hard to know what really goes into the game score. It really is. It's really tough to know. And again, at this stage, we kind of do know what is needed. You know, if you calculate, oh, okay, what's needed per game, you're basically needing, 3,500 points per game if you want to win King of the Court. Which again, that's the game score, the ultimate game score at the end of it. If your score goes up by 3,400 or 3,500, it's going to be one of your 4 best scores. Really complicated situation here in King of the Court. Do I love it? No, I don't love the fact that I finished second twice in a row, but it is what it is at the end of the day. For me, all I can do is continue to try and get better at the game for me personally, and try to figure out, okay, what really goes into the game score? What type of lineup do I really need to run, right? Because if I run my best squad, is that giving me the best chance to win? I don't know. It's definitely a super complex situation, and all I can do is try to figure it out moving forward. So that's really going to wrap it up for my video today. You guys can let me know your thoughts on King of the Court down below in the comments. I'm not into any of the drama. From here on out, that's not me. Y'all can sit out here and say whatever y'all want about me. I can take it, right? Like, I can take it. I can take it on the chin. Obviously, from here on out, we know what 2K is looking for. Like, we know what they're looking for. If you win King of the Court, they are going to look into your games, and if they say you're legit, you're legit. That's all we can really say about things moving forward. So again, congrats to Jin for winning back-to-back. He is good at the game, obviously really good. And again, we had 3 really, really close and competitive games this weekend. I just wish it could be something like this, right? Jin and I are so close down the stretch, right? And same thing in week 2. We were so close down the stretch. If I beat him, right, I'll win King of the Court. If he beats me, he wins King of the Court. That's what, like, competitive MyTeam should be. It's just not what it is right now, but it is what it is at the end of the day. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.